From homeless black man to millionaire, the inspirational journey with Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Charles never imagined his life would twist like this. Riches beyond belief, owning one of the hottest modeling agencies in the city, living amid flashing cameras and velvet ropes. But here's the kicker. Rumor swirled that his fortune had a bizarre origin story, one involving a chance encounter with none other than Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Yeah, you heard that right. A homeless man, down to his last dime, somehow stepping into the boardrooms of billionaires and walking out with a fortune that shattered all odds. It all started on a rainy, slick night in the big city. Charles was just another lost soul in the crowded streets, soaked through and shivering. Somehow, the universe threw him a lifeline, a mysterious invite to a secret meeting where Musk and Trump were said to be discussing a brand new tech and fashion merger. Charles, out of nowhere, but others? They said there were secrets better left buried, shadows lurking in his past. How could a man with zero connections crash through the gates of power so fast without paying a price? The glossy magazines didn't tell you that part. They only showed the smiles, the scandal, the parties, where beauty reigned and the truth got lost behind designer sunglasses. On one such stormy night, the city was alive with neon lights and endless noise. Charles, dressed impeccably, was hailing a cab outside a dazzling hotel when he saw her. A woman sitting on the curb. Rain dripped off her worn coat, her eyes trying to hide the hopelessness. But something in her sparkled. Anna, black, determined, and carrying a bag of warm meals she handed out to the forgotten. No one in Charles's world noticed her, except him. His heart clenched. He couldn't look away. That night, something clicked. Not the usual lust or money games, but something raw and real. Anna's dreams were jagged but fierce, escaping the freezing streets, building a life that mattered. And Charles? He felt a sharp jolt of fear, a rush of something he'd buried under layers of silk and fake smiles. What if this connection tore apart everything he thought he knew? Back in the glittering towers, whispers spread like wildfire. Friends with sharp tongues and rivals with cold grins started digging into Anna's past. Rumors, old wounds, ugly facts, all aimed at breaking Charles, humiliating him. His hands trembled in meetings when phone screens flashed the poison they fed the press. Could love really live in this ruthless world? Could he face what his heart wanted without losing his empire? Just as Charles was ready to choose love over money, truth over masks, a shocking secret about Anna surfaced. A hidden talent, a past nobody suspected, one that could change everything. Would that be their salvation or the end of them both? The city buzzed with question marks, lights blurring as rain tears spilled down Charles's face. What would he risk? What would he lose? The next move could sink him or set him free. But one thing was clear. This was no longer just a story about millionaires or models. It was about the price of real connection in a world built to ignore people like Anna. Charles's heart pounded. Could he break his own cage? Or would he drown in the glitter and lies? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Just as Charles stood there, tears blurring his vision, dreams colliding against harsh reality, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He pulled it out, frowning. A string of chaotic messages flashed across the screen. Urgent, they warned. You need to see this. The sender? A name that twisted his stomach. An old friend from the streets. Someone who knew the darkest parts of his past. Heart racing. He opened the first message. It was a link. His breath hitched as he clicked it. The screen filled with headlines. Model tycoon's hidden past. Mysterious connection to scandal. Shockwaves rippled through him. Suddenly, what was once his glitzy life flickered under gray shadows. A few taps later, video footage poured in. Anna, standing at a makeshift shelter, handing out food. But this time, there was something different. A voiceover thrummed. Ex-convict sentenced for fraud, now spotted with millionaire Charles. Who is she really? Charles' heart pounded. The laughter and conversations around him faded. In that moment, the room spun. He clicked on another link, fingers trembling. This one showed Anna speaking passionately about her mission to help the homeless. But the headline, Secrets of the Streets, Con Artist or Philanthropist. What was happening? Confusion clawed at his mind. People gathered around him, voices buzzing. Did you see that? Someone gasped. Is she playing him? Another whispered, eyes narrowing. The murmurs shifted from admiration to suspicion, like a tidal wave crashing on a fragile shore. The soft laughter he once knew faded, replaced by a storm of judgment. Panic gripped him. Could this be the shocking twist that would unravel everything? Could Anna, the woman who shone with warmth and dreams, be hiding a past darker than he imagined? In the headlights of his glamorous life, he thought he found warmth. Yet maybe it was just another lie. He glanced back at Anna. She stood there, bright-eyed among the shadows, showered with kindness towards others. But who was she really? Desperate fear drummed inside him. What if he just couldn't see the deception hidden beneath her sincere facade? The entire scene felt staged now, like they were characters in a play. And the truth was the final act no one wanted to witness. Did she need him? Or was he just a pawn in her game? As these thoughts spiraled, a sharp sound sliced through the air. A screen crackling with a new broadcast. What were they saying? Were they about to expose everything? This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Anna, too. He felt an icy weight sink in his chest. Unraveling the truth could cost him everything. Would it destroy the fragile bond they shared? Silence fell around him. All eyes were locked on him, and he could feel the collective judgment pressing down like a blanket, suffocating and relentless. He took a deep breath, but it knotted in his throat. The questions loomed larger than ever. Could he trust Anna? Was love really strong enough to survive the storm? In that swirling chaos, a single thought pierced through his confusion. If he exposed her, Would he lose the only spark of hope he had left? Would he risk his empire to save her? Or let the truth unravel everything they built? Just as Charles leaned into the unknown, his heart a wild drum echoing hope and doubt, a loud crash shattered the night. A car plowed through the street, tires screeching, headlights cutting through the rain like daggers. It careened toward him, a nightmare ripping through his moment of clarity. He leaped back, barely catching sight of the driver, a flash of blonde hair and a menacing grin. The vehicle hit a parked car with a violent thud, metal crunching, glass exploding. Chaos erupted. People screamed, some ducked for cover. Charles stumbled, breath catching in his throat, pulse racing like a runaway train. He looked for Anna, but instinct pulled him forward, heart racing. Mounting dread gripped him as he ran toward the wreckage, eyes fixed on the woman who had captured his heart. "Is anyone hurt?" he shouted, his voice swallowed by the panic. In the midst of the turmoil, a figure emerged from the twisted metal. Anna, soaked to the bone. For a second, relief washed over him, but that vanished instantly when he noticed the blood trickling down her forehead. Maybe it was the dim lights or the shock, but she seemed almost calm, detached from the madness around her. "Stay where you are," someone yelled from the crowd, rushing toward her. But Anna broke free, moving like she was underwater, slow, deliberate. "Charles!" she called, her voice cutting through the cacophony. Panic flickered behind her eyes. "Wait!" But before he could move, the driver stumbled out of the wreck, a smirk plastered on his face, a clown in a tragedy. It was someone Charles recognized, Ricky, a rising star in the modeling scene, someone who had clawed through the industry with charm and deceit. He swaggered toward them, a jagged laugh escaping his lips. "Guess who just crashed the party?" he shouted, soaking in the spotlight, oblivious to the chaos he'd caused. The crowd gasped. Whispers ricocheted around them. "Is that... What the hell is he doing?" The questions, sharp and accusatory, flooded the air. But Charles couldn't focus. He zeroed in on Anna, struggling to keep steady on her feet. "Are you okay?" he managed, but his voice sounded distant, lost in the panic. Her eyes locked with his, a flicker of something hidden deep within them. "Charles? There's something I need to tell you," she whispered, her voice trembling. The fear in her gaze sent a chill down his spine. Ricky, reveling in the attention, made his way to them. "What's the matter, lovebirds? Is it time for a big reveal?" He leaned in, smug and arrogant. "Maybe the world's too small for your kind of love." Suddenly, Anna's expression shifted. The panic faded. A new strength surged from somewhere within her. "Ricky, stop it!" she shouted. And for a moment, everyone held their breath. Charles stepped forward, fists tightening. "What do you know about her?" "More than you think," Ricky laughed, pulling out a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, waving it like it was a trophy. "Let's just say, Anna's past isn't as innocent as you've been led to believe." The crowd's murmurs swelled, eyes darting between the three of them. Charles felt his heart drop. "Whoa, what are you talking about?" With a smile dripping with malice, Ricky tossed the crumpled sheet at Anna's feet. "All yours, sweetheart. Why don't you tell everyone the real story?" Anna's face blanched, an internal war fueling behind her clenched jaw. The crowd was electric, waiting, watching, whispering. Charles felt the ground beneath him shift, his world tipping on its axis. All their shared moments, the raw connection, suddenly felt heavy with doubt. "What's on that paper?" he demanded, voice tight with urgency. Anna's fasad cracar, revelándose resumentemente descuro. He opened her mouth, but no palabras salieron. Un truco que se formó en su cerebro. Él la perdió. En ese momento eléctrico, bajo las luces neónicas de la ciudad, todo ensaltó. Charles standing ready, incahuel, empular, wondering if their love could withstand the storm about to break. Would the truth set them free or shatter them both? As Charles standing there, heart pounding, every eye in the crowd glued to him. Anna's silence grew louder. The tension was thick, almost suffocating. It felt like the world was holding its breath. Ricky smirked, enjoying the storm he had created. "Anna," Charles urged, his voice strained. "What's on that paper?" Before Anna could speak, a new sound cut through the chaos. A loud rumble, low and menacing. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath them. It was like an earthquake. But no, it was a black van barreling down the street, headlights piercing through the night, heading right for the crowd. People screamed and scattered. Some ducked behind cars. Others simply froze in place. Charles's instincts kicked in. "Anna, get back!" he shouted, and he lunged toward her, muscles tense with fear for her safety. But she didn't move. In that split second, everything seemed to slow down. The van swerved, careening dangerously close. Before anyone could react, it slammed into a lamppost, sparks flying, metal twisting, and glass shattering. Chaos erupted all over again. Out of the smoke and wreckage, a figure emerged. It was a tall man, his face obscured by a hood, strides long and powerful, eyes scanning the scene like a hawk. He looked wild, like he just stepped out of a nightmare. "Anna!" he bellowed, voice booming through the panicked screams. People turned, confusion flooding their faces. Who was this guy? "You're coming with me." Charles's heart dropped as he turned to Anna. She stood stock still, frozen like a statue, eyes wide. She swallowed hard, and Charles could see the fear etched on her face. "No!" she shouted, as if waking from a trance. "I won't leave!" The man stepped closer, his presence magnetic, pulling everyone's attention toward him. "You don't have a choice." His eyes burned with a fierce urgency. "You're in danger. They know you're here." "Who knows?" Charles breathed, heart racing in rhythm with the electric tension in the air. "What's going on?" He looked back at Anna, her face now a mask of pain and conflict. "Anna, please, insist." Before she could respond, a panic-stricken woman from the crowd stepped forward. "I know him. He's... The sound of a gunshot rang out, echoing through the street, sharp and horrifying. Everyone ducked instinctively. The crowd gasped, faces stricken with horror. The man's hood flew back, revealing a familiar face, one Charles had never thought he'd see again. It was Jalen, Charles's best friend from the old days, the one he thought had vanished after that last deal gone wrong. Jalen was supposed to be gone, erased from memory. Yet here he was, looking battered but alive. "Charles!" he shouted, urgency dragging his words. "You don't understand. It's not just Anna. It's everything. What are you talking about?" Charles felt himself slipping, the walls closing in as secrets began to unravel in his mind. Jalen stepped closer, eyes darting toward Anna and then back at Charles, desperation pouring off him. "They're coming for you both. The merger. It was never just about business. You have no idea what's really at stake." "What stake? What do you mean?" The question spiraled in Charles's mind. Anna stepped back, her breathing heavy, heart racing like it was in a sprint. "Jalen, please!" But before she could finish, more chaos erupted as sirens wailed in the distance, drowning out everything else. Jalen's face paled, eyes widening with fear. "We have to go! Now!" Charles looked between the two of them, confusion and dread twisting in his gut. Love, danger, and secrets were colliding in a wild storm. The truth felt like a tangled mess, and he couldn't untangle it. With time slipping away, he saw Anna peering into the void, trying to decide. Would he follow her? Would he trust Jalen, this ghost from his past? He didn't know the future, only chaos and fear. "Anna!" he cried, feeling the weight of it all crushing him. "What do we do?" The storm was closing in, and with every heartbeat, the answers felt further away. What truth was right in front of him, and what lay hidden beneath? Would they even make it out alive to find out? Just when Charles thought the weight of the world rested solely on his shoulders, the universe decided to drop a boulder right in his lap. As he stood there, gazing into Anna's fierce eyes, a chill spread through the air. Suddenly, a commotion erupted down the street. A crowd was gathering, voices rising in panic. Charles turned. His heart raced. "What's happening?" he muttered, the excitement of the night fading. Then he saw it. A black SUV screeching to a halt, doors flinging open. Figures in dark suits spilled out, their movements sharp and calculated. The crowd leaned in, curiosity replacing fear. A woman stepped into the light, her face hidden beneath a brimmed hat. The murmurs intensified. She seemed important, someone everyone should know. But what happened next turned the night upside down. She raised an arm and pointed directly at Charles. "There he is!" she shouted, her voice cutting through the buzz like a knife. "Charles, we need to talk!" He felt the collective gasp in the crowd. Who was this woman? What did she want? Instinct kicked in. He grabbed Anna's hand tightly, feeling her warmth against the cold, her eyes wide with confusion. "Do you know her?" she whispered, concern shadowing her features. "No idea," he replied, hardly able to think. The woman began to stride toward him, purpose in every step. The hairs on the back of his neck prickled with confusion and dread. As she approached, he caught the faint glimmer of recognition flickering in her eyes. But then her gaze hardened, and tight lines creased her forehead. "There's something you don't know, Charles," she said, her voice urgent, almost frantic. "About Anna." Time seemed to freeze. The world around him blurred. Anna squeezed his hand harder, He could feel her breath quicken. "What do you mean?" But before she could answer, a flash of movement erupted from the side. A group of reporters, realizing what was happening, swarmed in, eager to get the scoop. Cameras clicked, bright lights blinding him. The woman had become a target. She steadied herself, preparing for the questions, her information ready to burst forth. "Anna isn't who you think she is," she yelled, her gaze piercing through the chaos. "She's not just some woman on the street. She's connected. Dangerous connections." Charles' stomach dropped. His heart raced. Memories of those lonely nights in the streets flooded back. The dreams, the aspirations. Was it all built on a lie? What secrets did Anna hide? The woman continued. "She's been working undercover, Charles, infiltrating the very circles you're trying to break into." The crowd gasped in unison, whispers sparking like wildfire. "The $1 million modeling agency? She might be the reason they want you gone." "Gone?" Charles echoed, disbelief flooding his mind. "You're saying she's been playing me?" "No," Anna began, but the noise drowned her out. Suddenly, in the panic of the moment, a nearby man shouted, "What's her real name?" Charles's head spun. Who was Anna really? Was she a savior or a danger? The lights flashed brighter, and all he could see was the woman pointing fiercely at him, her intensity cutting through the chaos. And then, just like that, a loud crash echoed from the alleyway. A figure stumbled into the crowd, clutching a bloodied arm, eyes wild with fear. "They're coming!" he gasped, breathless. The atmosphere shifted again, panic creeping back in. In that instant, everything shifted. Relationships began to fray, and the truth teetered on the edge. Charles's heart pounded like a drum. Would he risk everything for a truth that might shatter his world? What did this all mean for him? For Anna? Everything Charles thought he knew began to swirl in uncertainty, shadows looming larger than ever before. The stakes had never been higher, and all he could think was, what was real, and what was simply a facade waiting to crumble. The night had transformed into a maze of secrets, and the twists weren't over yet. The city buzzed around him, an electric storm of excitement and anxiety, as Charles stood there, heart racing. He felt like he was teetering on the edge of a cliff. The shocking secret about Anna loomed over him like a dark cloud. What had they uncovered? Was it something real, or just more gossip to tear them apart? He didn't have to wait long for the answer. Just as he reached for his phone to call her, a piercing scream echoed through the night. It shattered the noise of laughter and music, silencing the crowd. Heads turned, eyes wide with disbelief. Charles's gut twisted. His pulse pounded in his ears like thunder. He rushed towards the sound, his designer shoes slapping against the wet pavement, and finally came upon a scene that froze him in place. A group of people surrounded a figure on the ground, voices rising in panic. It was a woman, sprawled out, her face pale under the flashing lights. As he got closer, he recognized her. It was Anna. His heart dropped. He could hardly breathe. Fear gripped him like a vice. "Anna!" he shouted, but the word didn't feel like it belonged in this moment. Someone stepped close to him, a nerve-wracking look on their face. She collapsed, man, out of nowhere. Shock shot through him. What happened? He gasped, looking down at her. Her chest rose and fell with uneven breaths. Charles knelt beside her, feeling helpless. Panic raced in his veins. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Around him, whispers swirled like smoke. "Who is she?" someone asked, their tone both curious and judgmental. His heart raced faster. Charles felt the weight of the crowd's scrutiny. A man pushed forward, clad in an expensive suit. "Back off, everyone," he barked, shoving people aside. "Give her space." Charles wanted to scream. What was happening? Why? "Anna, can you hear me?" he whispered, brushing her hair out of her face. Just when he thought she might respond, her eyelids fluttered and her gaze locked onto his. But there was something in her eyes. Fear? Recognition? And then, nothing. She slipped into unconsciousness, like a candle snuffed out. The crowd gasped. A collective breath pulled tight. Charles felt the world tilt off its axis. He reached for her hand, squeezing, hoping for a sign. And that's when it hit him. An icy wave of revelation washed over him. What if this was connected to her secret? What if it was all part of a twisted game? The man in the suit, the voice of authority, spoke up again. "She needs a doctor! Call for help!" But his eyes were on Charles now. A flicker of recognition danced in them. A hint of something dark that Charles couldn't quite place. He felt a pit grow in his stomach. What did this man know? Why was everything feeling so wrong? Suddenly, police sirens wailed in the distance, cutting through the tension like a knife. Charles's mind raced. He couldn't let them take Anna away. He had to protect her. He had to know. Just when he thought chaos couldn't grow more intense, the man leaned closer, a sinister smile curling his lips. "You think she's just a charity case, huh? You have no idea what you stepped into, do you?" Those words echoed in Charles's mind like a drum. The truth felt razor sharp, and the shadows that had swirled around Anna were starting to close in. What had he gotten himself into? What did he truly know about Anna? Time slowed. Clarity pierced through his confusion. The gasps of the crowd faded, replaced by his frantic heartbeat. At that moment, Charles knew everything was about to change, and he was standing on the brink of a revelation that could shatter his world. What lay beneath the surface? What secrets were waiting to be uncovered? How far would he go to find the truth? Just as the weight of his decision pressed down on Charles, the city erupted with chaos. A sudden blast filled the air, shattering the calm. It came from the direction of the hotel, where he had just hailed the cab. His heart dropped. Screams ricocheted off the glittering facades. People ran like ants from a disturbed nest, panic clouding the once vibrant atmosphere. Anna turned, her brow knit in confusion, glancing toward the commotion. Charles's stomach twisted. He had to know. He grabbed her hand, pulling her close. "We need to go," he shouted, adrenaline kicking in. They dashed toward the source, pushing through the sea of frightened faces. The entrance to the hotel was chaos. Smoke billowed, curling toward the sky like a dark cyclone. Shouting and sirens pierced through the noise. Yet somehow it felt surreal, a sudden plunge into a nightmare. Charles could barely breathe. Memories of days on the streets rushed back. But this time, he was not just trying to survive. He was terrified of losing someone he cared about. Then he saw it. A figure standing tall amidst the madness. A familiar silhouette. Donald Trump. Confusion twisted into horror as he spotted Anna's eyes widen in disbelief. "No, it can't be," she murmured, her grip tightening on Charles's arm. "Anna?" Charles asked, a knot forming in his stomach. She stumbled back, eyes darting between Charles and the chaos. That's my dad!" The words hit like a thunderclap. Charles's heart raced, his mind reeling. The world came to a standstill in that moment. Anna, the woman he felt so deeply connected to, was the daughter of a man who represented everything he had fled from. His gut twisted in disbelief. How had he not known? People yelled as a gurney rushed past. 2 paramedics struggling to lift a body wrapped in a blood-soaked sheet. The panic intensified. The media would swarm, spinning stories that could tear everything apart. And now, this revelation, it threatened to crush their fragile connection into dust. "Your dad?" Charles breathed, backing away slightly. Anger, fear, confusion all fluttered within him like trapped birds. "Why didn't you tell me? All this time, I thought, he doesn't know I'm here. I've been trying to get away from that life." Anna's voice wavered as she held back tears. As the dust began to settle, a figure stirring in the smoke caught his eye. It was Elon Musk. He emerged from the haze, panic in his eyes. "We need to evacuate now!" But something flashed across his face. Fear or menace? Charles couldn't tell. The crowd surged, a panic-fueled tide dragging them back. Anna looked to him, her face pale. "I can't go back there." And then a message blared from a nearby screen. A live report overlaying the chaos. "Authorities have stated that this attack is linked to a scandal involving high-profile tech figures." Charles felt the world tilt beneath him. Rumors swirled about him like leaves caught in a storm. But this was something far darker. His life, his choices, connected to a web he hadn't even begun to comprehend. What would it mean for them? For their budding love amidst darkness? In that moment, a question echoed louder than the sirens. Was this the beginning of a journey towards something new, or the end of everything he had built? No answers formed. Just dread and uncertainty flooded Charles's mind as the unfolding chaos pressed ever closer. Anna's face haunted him, the very embodiment of everything he wanted to protect. They were trapped in this world of glitter and shadows, where secrets and truth twisted like smoke, and he could only wonder, what would he sacrifice to save her? As the lights blared and chaos reigned, Charles stood frozen, uncertainty clawing at him. Anna stared at him, eyes wide, pain in her expression. Just seconds ago, everything had felt so intense. Now it felt fragile, like a bubble ready to burst. Then the ground rumbled again, shaking beneath them. People screamed, some fell to the pavement. But all eyes remained glued to the figure in the distance. The woman in the hat was now approaching. "Charles!" she shouted, the noise around them fading into a dull roar. "We have to get out of here!" Charles yelled back, his voice strained. But as he looked into her eyes, he noticed a flicker of familiarity, a connection he couldn't quite place. The woman stopped just a few feet away, her breath rapid, the intensity of the moment swirling around them. "You don't understand. It's not just about Anna, it's about you." "What are you talking about?" he snapped, trying to maintain control, but fear nipped at his heels. The woman reached out, grabbing his arm, her grip strong. "You have to listen. The attack, it's a distraction. They're coming for you, Charles." Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from the hotel. Then another shattering explosion. People screamed, and shouts turned into frantic whispers. The crowd began to panic again, pulling away from the chaos engulfing the hotel. "Anna, come on!" he urged, pleading. But she remained rooted, eyes locked on the woman, who was suddenly looking more desperate than before. "Find your father!" the woman shouted, her voice cutting through the madness. "He knows where they've hidden everything, and why they want you both gone." Charles's heart raced. "My father?" he echoed, confusion swirling within him. "Yes, everything he's done, it all connects to Anna, to you." Before he could grasp the full weight of her words, a figure stumbled out of the smoke. His father, Richard, a face he had longed to escape from. The sight sent shockwaves through him. Was this the man who had given him a life of privilege, or a monster hiding away nightmares buried deep in the past? "Charles?" Richard sounded, panic lacing his voice, but as he pushed through the crowd, his eyes fell on Anna, realization dawning. "What are you doing here?" Charles felt his world tilt. "Why are you here?" he demanded, rage boiling beneath the surface. "I'm here to protect you," Richard insisted, desperation creeping in. "It's bigger than you know. They want to bring you down. Together." In a heartbeat, everything spiraled out of control. The memories flooded back of family secrets, betrayals, a web of connections stretching far beyond what he had realized. Anna was not just another piece on the chessboard. She was critical to it all. The entire crowd turned, buzzing with whispers, eyes darting between them. "What does he mean?" someone asked, their voice filled with accusation. Then something unexpected happened. The woman stepped between Charles and Richard, her posture defensive. "You don't know him, Charles. He's part of this. He's been using you both." Shockwaves rippled through the crowd. Charles felt the air leave him, like being punched in the gut. Was everything a lie? Had he trusted the wrong people? His heart raced, feelings twisting as fear and betrayal crashed together. "Step away from him!" Richard shouted. Anna shook her head slowly, fear etched on her face. "Is this true?" she whispered, heartbreak crashing through her words. "Anna, no, listen to me," Richard pleaded, hands reaching out. But moments later, a gunshot rang out, echoing through the chaos. Time froze. Gasps filled the air. All around, faces blurred with fear. Charles's heart was pounding so loudly he could hardly hear anything else. And then, in a single moment, everything changed. Anna fell to the ground, striking the pavement with a sharp crack. Charles's breath hitched. Fear clawed at him. Time stopped as he knelt beside her, panic exploding through his veins. "Anna!" he screamed, but the world around them faded into a blur. She lay still, lifeless, crashing his dreams and hopes with a single blow. The woman shouted something, but it sounded distant, drowned in agony. He was losing her. Everything they built, collapsing with staggering speed. The truth was twisting violently, and all the answers he searched for felt further away than ever. The crowd erupted, fear taking over as chaos unfolded, and in that moment of despair, he wondered, was this truly the end, or had he just stumbled into a darker beginning? The world tilted on Charles as he stared at Anna, lying lifeless on the pavement. Fear constricted his chest like a vice. He felt the ground shake beneath him, a feeling that mirrored the chaos inside his mind. "Anna!" he cried out again, his voice trembling, desperation clawing at him. People around them gasped, murmurs swelling in the crowd, confusion mixing with horror. "What happened?" someone gasped. "Is she okay?" A flash of cameras illuminated the scene, blinding him for a moment. All he could see was Anna, so still, so unresponsive. Tears streamed down his face as he reached for her, fingers trembling. "Please, wake up!" Panic surged inside him, raw and primal. A wave of chaos swept through the crowd, people shouting for help. The woman in the hat was shouting, urging someone to call an ambulance. But Charles's focus was consumed by Anna's still form. But then, just as the sirens approached, a loud crack shattered the air. A gunshot rang out again, louder this time. The crowd erupted in a frenzy, people pushing, shoving, a wild rush toward safety as fear overtook reason. He could barely keep his ground, ripping his gaze from Anna to scan the chaos. "Charles!" Jalen's voice pierced through the noise. He struggled against the crowd, eyes wild, his past crashing down on him as his old friend bore down on him. "You need to get out of here." But before Charles could respond, the world spun again. Another figure staggered into view. The woman from moments before. Eyes wide with panic, lips moving fast. "It's not what you think," she shouted, rushing towards them. "This wasn't just an attack. They're coming for you." "What?" Charles managed to say, the weight of her words pressing down like lead. "What do you mean?" But as she reached him, the scene exploded in chaos. A van screeched around the corner, tires screeching, rivaling the sirens. It shattered through the commotion, barreling toward them, and suddenly, everything turned upside down. People scattered, fleeing with terror-stricken faces as the van careened toward the hotel. In that moment, with chaos swirling around him, Charles' heart pounded like a drum. Then, out of the van leaped a figure, another hooded person, eyes fixed intensely on him. "Get away from her!" The voice rang out, sharp and commanding. Charles felt the rush of protective instinct surge through him. "Who are you?" he screamed back, scanning the scene frantically. Their face was hidden, a mask of shadows, but the air crackled with tension. The hooded figure pulled down their mask, revealing not a stranger, but his own brother, James. The brother he thought had vanished years ago after a family fallout. The one he never spoke of again. "James!" Charles shouted, disbelief turning to confusion. "What are you doing here? This isn't safe," James said frantically, glancing back toward the hotel. "You have to trust me. They know everything." "What do you mean?" Panic was bubbling over in Charles's chest. But before James could explain, the woman in the hat yanked Charles's sleeve, dragging him closer. "You don't understand. They're all involved. Your family, her family. It's all connected. The merger, the scandals, this is just the beginning." The crowd's frenzied whispers now erupted into full confusion. Faces twisted in disbelief, both at what they'd witnessed and the revelation unfurling in the open. "What are you talking about?" someone shouted. And then, as if the universe conspired against them, another gunshot rang out, followed by a guttural scream. Run! James screamed, fierce panic in his voice, as chaos unfolded faster than he could explain. Everything blurred. The crowd surged like a tide, all fleeing the danger. But Charles couldn't. Not yet. He turned to Anna, still lying there, terrified and confused, unsure of how to protect everything that mattered. Would he risk it all to save her, knowing that every relationship had a thread woven deep into this dark tapestry? With everything spinning out of control, he knew the truth, the secrets, the betrayals, the family ties woven into a net of lies. As the world fell apart, standing there with the weight of everything on his shoulders, he realized one terrifying fact. Nothing was as it seemed. The game was just beginning. As chaos danced with smoke in the air, Charles knelt beside Anna, heart racing. The crowd surged, whispers turning to panic. He looked into her eyes, desperate and filled with fear. "Stay with me, Anna, please." His hand shook as he pressed her cheek. But the world around him drowned in noise, screams, shouts, and panic erupting like a bomb. The crowd fell into turmoil, people running away as if the ground beneath them had cracked open. Charles took a deep breath, pushing back the wave of helplessness. Jalen, still fighting through the frantic crowd, reached him. "We need to get her out of here!" "But how?" Charles gasped, his heart thundering louder than before. He could see the horror in Jalen's eyes, that same familiar fear pumping through their veins. "She needs a hospital, man. We have to move." Jalen pulled Charles to his feet, urgency sparking in every action. Just then, the woman in the hat reappeared, her voice slicing through the chaos. "I've called an ambulance. They're on their way." But Charles didn't wait. He scooped Anna into his arms, her body frail and lifeless. Every step felt heavy, shadows darkening their path. The crowd began to part, some faces filled with horror, others whispering in disbelief. "What happened? Who is she?" The murmurs wrapped around them, suffocating. "Keep your head down," Jalen urged. "We can't let anyone know who you are." There was urgency in every single moment. Charles held Anna close, praying she'd wake up. With each labored breath he took, he could feel danger creeping, lurking in the shadows. Richard had stumbled into the chaos. Confusion smeared across his face. But before he could reach them, a loud crash echoed from the hotel. "Run!" the woman yelled. Jalen grabbed Charles's shoulder, his eyes fierce. "Let's go." And just like that, they pushed through the crowd as chaos erupted behind them. Sirens wailed, the night becoming a blur of light and sound. They reached the ambulance, flashing lights illuminating their path. Paramedics rushed forward, eager hands ready to assist. "Let us take her," one shouted. "No!" Charles's voice was raw, edging on a screech. "I can't lose her." But the medical team insisted, and with a lump in his throat, he reluctantly let them take Anna, hoping for a miracle. As she disappeared into the back of the ambulance, a heavy heart filled the void in his chest. He turned to face Jalen and the woman. "What next? What do we do now?" "There's more you need to know," the woman said. Her expression changed, eyes darting, urgency all around her. "This isn't just over. ... I don't care about anything else!" Charles shot back, despair pulling at his feet. "I just want her back!" "Listen!" Jalen stepped closer, pulling him away. "You'll have to understand. This connects to your family, to everything. We didn't want you to find out like this, but there's a whole network here that wants you. Even now." The weight of those words pressed down on Charles. The tangled mess of relationships, lies, and power swirled in his mind. Why didn't you tell me before? The woman took a deep breath, looking down at her feet. Because it wasn't safe. Not until now. Before Charles could respond, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He pulled it out, seeing a text flash on the screen. It was from an unknown number. "They're on your trail. Trust no one." The air thickened with tension. What does that mean? "Time to go," Jalen urged, glancing toward the still frantic scene. Just then, the ambulance door swung shut and the vehicle sped away, lights flashing. There was hope mingled with desperation in Charles's chest, but could he hold on to it? He stood there, flanked by Jalen and the woman, feeling like a storm was brewing around them. Who could he trust? Was there still a way to protect Anna? The world was a whirlwind of uncertainty, and in that moment, beneath the neon lights of chaos, he knew one thing. The journey was just beginning. Hey, before we wrap it up, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that will leave you on the edge of your seat. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. And you know what? Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. I want to hear every single thought you have. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending. Don't wait even a second longer. Only true fans know how important it is to keep this community thriving. Let's rally together.